Hello, everybody. It is Jackie from Pocket of Preschool, and I wanted to come on and show you guys tonight or today, depending on when you're watching, the brand new news and weather station dramatic play. So this unit was just added, so if you want to grab it, the link is at the top or wherever the links are. Sometimes they move them around. And it has been also added to the dramatic play bundle number 2. So if you have that, go download it because it's included in the bundle. So it's a really, really fun unit. It's a news and a weather station kind of all wrapped up into one. And what we're going to do is I'm going to walk around and show you all the different things that are included in the unit. Now, it looks like a lot and when I show you, when I walk around, it looks like a lot. Now, always remember that this is what it would look like at the end of you doing this unit. So you always want to slowly introduce, like there's different news segments, which I'll show you in a minute. There's different things you can do for the weather, the meteorologist portion. And you always want to start with less and slowly add. So maybe when you first start it, you're only going to have maybe 4 segments. And then maybe 2 days later, you're going to add another segment, or the next week, maybe you're going to add 3 new segments. And I'll show you what I mean by that in just a minute. But yeah, so don't think you're like, oh my gosh, that's way too much. That's super overwhelming. Also, if you have 3-year-olds, you are going to have a lot less things and a lot less props than a kindergarten or first grade teacher would have. So you can always do less if you want. And obviously use the pieces that work for you in your classroom and what fits your students and what your curriculum, what you need to cover. So I'm going to kind of I'm going to turn you guys around and kind of walk you guys around a little bit and show you all of it. And then also I just wanted to highlight this really cute, awesome book. It's called The Meteorologist in Me by Brittany Stibb. And it's a great book. I'll put the link in the comments. It's a great book about what a meteorologist is and what they do. So this is a great read aloud if you want to introduce meteorologists. So, all right, I'm going to flip it around and walk you guys around and give you guys a tour. Okay, this way I can put it down. Okay, let me just readjust here. Oh, that was my little chair I was sitting in. Okay. So here it is. So we have kind of the weather section over here. We have, I'll back it up, give you guys kind of a big full view. So we have the news desk, and that is just which I can walk to the back and show you guys, but it's just the checkout stand and then the table. I pushed them together and put a piece of paper across the top. The background is butcher paper, and butcher paper. So red and then blue, black, and red, just to kind of give it a really fun feel. And then we have our camera, which is on a stand that's just like this. We have our live. Instead of like having open and close like a store, we have live on air and take a break. We're off the air. So the cameraman can tell the news, the reporters, if they're on air or off air. And then this is the camera. So fun. So it's just a shoebox, and we put the news station on it. We put some buttons. We have it's just a piece of cardboard, little pop-out screen. This is one of those reading phones. And then on the front, we have our microphone, which is a pom-pom on top of a marker lid. And this is just a cup. So that way, if they're doing like live broadcasts, maybe they're going to the Block Center and doing breaking news over there, the cameraman or camera girl can take this and they can go do the broadcast. And then we just put a plate on top of this kind of like selfie camera stand. So that way it can go on or off. You can always tape it down if you think it's falling a lot. So we have the newsstand, and then on our newsstand, and this is what I was talking about when I was saying segments. So we have, let me go over here a little bit more. Okay. So we have, it's just a binder, kind of inverted, and then this is just like a little like book holder. And what they're going to do is they can flip it. If I have it in the right spot. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so we have the traffic segment, which I'll show you at the back. We have live news, so students can grab the microphone and then the cameraman can take this and they can walk to another center and say, like, oh, Sally, like, tell me about what you're building in the Block Center. And they can report what's going on in the Block Center or the Art Center. So that's really fun. So they can do live news, special guest. And then we have the sports segment. We have world news. We have breaking news, which that would be probably when they would take the camera around. That would be an option too. And then we have health and safety tips. And then we have pet of the day, where they can talk about a pet where they're going to adopt. Any celebrations, so they can talk about a holiday that's coming up, or anything that's going on in the community, or any birthdays in the classroom. School news, they can report on what you guys are learning about or reading, or maybe a favorite game. And then local news, anything that's happening in their community. Music and entertainment. So anything like, if there's a concert, or maybe there's a new movie that's out. Oh, geez. And, so yeah, and then I have props to go along with it. Now, there's a lot of these, so obviously you would start with a lot less and then kind of slowly introduce those. But let's start with our guests of the day. So with that, oh, and I forgot to tell you too, well, you guys probably know this, but all of the printables you see are included. This one does have a lot of printables. I think this unit's like 100 pages long. There's not as many props because there's storytelling. So a lot of the printables help them with their storytelling. So for the guest of the day, this is just on Velcro. Hold on. Fix that a little bit. There we go. So we have our special guest of the day. It's just on Velcro. My trick is always to put 2 pieces of Velcro on the back and a small one, like I cut it in half for this one. And then we have a whole bunch of extras in here so they can pretend to be anybody in the community. So if they're not the reporter, or maybe they want to, interview the baker, have them on the news, and they can report all about what's happening in the bakery. And then to help them do that, we have these props over here. So I just have some of the dramatic play, different, I have a doctor or vet, I have a zookeeper, paleontologist, I have an apron that could be baker, all of those different ones. And then you can also have different hats. So that way your guests of the day, they can put on an outfit or a prop for that. And then, all right, for our health and safety, because I wanted to sneak in some health and safety. So we have our health and safety props. Now, I did make these cue cards so that way, if they want to do the health and safety segment, this will give them some ideas. They can talk about eating healthy or moving their body, washing their hands, brushing their teeth, sleeping. So it's basically kind of like a visual script on things they can talk about on the news. And then the news always has props. So I just have a whole bunch of props. So we have hand sanitizer, toothbrush. So we have a healthy little lunch back here. We have a hand washing routine, which that's included in the unit. So they can practice some of those health and social skills routines. They can model it during the news. And then for our safety props, which I'm just going to move you guys down. Again, it's kind of like a visual script. So they can talk about street safety. Again, they can talk about using a crosswalk, stop signs, how they cross the street, car safety, sun safety, water safety, fire safety, online safety. That's the cover. And then bike safety. And then I have some props in here. We have sunscreen, and I do have printables for you guys. There's a helmet. And then this is included, fire intruder drill. There's a flashlight in there. So again, they can model or practice or talk about all the different ways they can stay safe in emergencies. And then we have our pet of the day. So down here, I have a big tub of pets. These are the ones that I use for when we do bed and things. A lot of them are Beanie Babies I get from garage sales or the Dollar Tree. And then our pet of the day also has a report with it. Hold on. So our pet of the day also has a report. So they can fill out the report. They can name it, give it an age, talk about what kind of animal it is. And then again, just some visual, it gives them like a visual script on what they can talk about during the Pet of the Day segment. And then this is just the general news report. Now this one has lines on it. The other ones don't. There's 5 options to this. So this has all the segments. There is one with less. And then there is some with outlines where they can just kind of like scribble. And if they color in and just scribble, if that's where they're at, if they're 3, that's totally fine. If they're sound, spelling, and kinder, that's awesome too. So they can kind of use this at whatever level they are. And then we're just going to keep going down over here. So these are some of our other props. So we have some clip-on microphones. So I just glued a pom-pom onto a clothespin so they can use a clip microphone just like the real news anchors and reporters use. And then we have our laptop, which this is included. It's just a printable and you can fold it. And so you have a laptop and we have some phones. I did bring in this really fun, cool office phone so they can like get a call and then they can say, oh, this news just came in. And then they can pick up the phone and pretend like there's a breaking story. We also have our globe. So when they're doing the world news, they can talk about where in the world they're talking about, where the news is happening. And obviously they're not going to know where the countries are. But again, we're just exploring, like use a globe and maps of some geography. And they can make up some really fun scripts with this. And then we have our celebrations. I just have a birthday cake down here so they can sing happy birthday, or you can also have, if there's like a celebration or holiday around, you can have some props to go along with that, but they can talk about birthdays if you're doing birthdays in the classroom. And then right here, that's our hail and our rain gauge, which I'm going to talk about that when I show you guys the weather portion of this really awesome set. Okay, so here is the traffic report. So this is really, really fun. And I do have a trick on how to not make it horrible to cut out. So I'll tell you that in just a second. Okay, hold on. Okay, so like with the other ones, I always want to have a writing piece. And again, if they're scribbling, if they're 3, that's totally fine. They can scribble about if it's light, medium, or heavy traffic. They can kind of draw on the map where the traffic is, what they think the travel time will be, and then what's happening. Is there an accident, construction? Are there broken signals? Are there icy roads, wet roads, rocks, maybe a landslide? Is there a road closed, flooded road? And they can just write or scribble anything extra down at the bottom. So this is our map, our traffic report map. So it's literally like 4 pages, and you get the printable and you just like laminate and tape it together. And then they can move all of the pieces. So maybe the road's flooded up here by the river, and maybe the traffic is on this road, and maybe there's construction over here by where it's flooded. And then we have our accident. And then I just kept the extra ones over here. Now, a lot of these are weather related. So if it's snowing in their weather report, they can say, oh, it's snowing and the roads are very, very icy. They're icy in 2 spots today. So they can kind of talk about where the roads are icy, or maybe it rained a lot. And so maybe there's some of the roads are flooded, or maybe there's a landslide because we had a lot of rain. Again, they can have as much fun with it as they want. Clearly I use these magnet what are these, like magnet stickies. So clearly that came off of one. I don't know which one it was, and then they can also do like, you can have individual cards or you can put them together for that. And then there's also, don't forget your pointer, so they can point to all the different places on the traffic. And this map matches this map exactly, which is awesome. Okay, so that is the traffic segment. And again, we're tying in the weather. So if it's stormy or rainy or sunny, they can talk about, oh, there are no more icy roads because the sun is shining and it is warm outside, and the roads are no longer flooded because we haven't had rain. They can make up all kinds of really fun stories to match their weather report. All right, so now let's talk about the our weather part. So this is kind of like the weather desk. We have it over here. Ignore my mess back there. And over here. So this is just like a sign that comes with it. And then these pull off. So they're like on Velcro again. Big piece on the card or on the mat and small piece on here. So they can make up their weather. So they're also exploring a calendar because it's a, part of a calendar. And then I have all the extra pieces right here. So we have snowy, windy. So, and then we also have severe weather, which I'll show you that. If there's severe weather, then they can tell you what type of severe weather is. We have a whole chart about the severe weather. And then we have our daily so we have our weekly forecast, like our calendar of the week. And then we have today's forecast. And these, again, this is a map that's included. And these clearly are all magnetic. So they can move these pieces around. They can change them out. They can explore and have fun, and then they can point to all the different places. It's snowy up at the top, or maybe they know, like maybe we live in Missouri. In Missouri, there's a cold front coming in, and we are gonna get really cold weather, and it's storming where we live in Missouri. But over on the other side of the country, it's partly sunny, and they can just have a ball with all the different weather. Again, I just use, with these, I did put a little bit of, my magnet tape wasn't sticky very well, so I did put a little bit of, see, they weren't, I don't know if my little magnet pieces are old, but they weren't very sticky, so I added some hot glue to the backs of some of them. So, and I just use this Melissa and Doug tray to kind of sort them out. So we have severe weather, snow, sun, cloudy, storms, rain, windy, partly sunny, and then we have our cold and warm fronts. And I just put a little basket under there. And then if you're wondering, this is a oil drip pan. I get mine at Walmart or Amazon. I have all of that linked in my Amazon storefront. And then over here, we want students to explore scientist tools, just like real scientists and meteorologists do. So I have our thermometer. Now, are they going to be able to read all of these numbers? No, but they will be able to pretend, right? And so they're going to just become more familiar with a thermometer. So they can use the dry erase marker, and they can write the whole high temperature and the low temperature. And I do have 100 chart down here, so they can use that as a model. And then my little magnet dry erase markers are perfect right there. All right, so also with the weather, what else do we like to do? We like to talk about with our kiddos. We want them to know what clothing is. I almost fell. What clothing is appropriate for the weather? So we have a little section over here where it's kind of like a little closet. So the meteorologist can say, oh, today it's going to be stormy. So you're going to need a raincoat and an umbrella, and you're going to need your rain boots so they can get out the pieces to wear. Now, some of these are my own kids. Some of them I have gotten at like Goodwill and things, or if you have an extra clothes basket in your classroom, grab some stuff from out of there because that's where a lot of this came from. But like, oh, it's going to be very sunny today. You're going to need your sunglasses. Or, oh, it's very cold. You're going to need mittens, and you're going to need a winter coat, and you're going to need a winter hat, and you're going to need your snow boots because it's going to snow. And they can make up all some really fun like weather adventures, and again, talk about what the weather is on the forecast, and then they can talk about what to wear. Now, if you don't have all of this, or maybe you're like, I don't have room for all this, no worries, I got you covered, because over here at the weather desk, we have our little what to wear. So I put this on a cookie sheet, because we all have cookie sheets from the dollar store. And over here, behind it is all of the different pieces. So if we're going to pretend that it's, why don't I just put this back here? That makes more sense. Okay. So obviously the kiddo would be doing this. So we have our accessories too. So maybe it is, so we pretend it is hot outside. So you can have a tank top and you are gonna need shorts today and flip-flops because it is so hot. And you're also gonna need sunscreen and a hat to shade you from the sun. And again, all of these are just on little magnets. It comes with all these pieces. So that way, if you don't have room for the clothing, you can have this. And sunglasses. You're going to need sunglasses today. So that way they can dress the person for the weather and they can talk about what the weather is or what they pretend it is, and then what you can wear to match that weather, which hits a lot of our objectives right there. And then there are weather reports that come with it. There's 5 to choose from. This is the one I just have out. So you can put them on clipboards. You can also put these in dry erase pockets if you don't want to make a lot of copies. And I'll show you all of them at the end because they are easy or hard. Now, I told you about the severe weather because you see it back there, the tornado. So you can say, oh, we have severe weather coming. And then how do you prepare? So over here, we have our severe weather forecast. And I made these real photographs so they can differentiate between typical weather. Can't really see it because of the stick. So we have our typical weather that is clip art, and then all of the severe weather, hail, tornado, flood, earthquake, blizzard, mudslide, ice storm, water spout, oh my gosh, drought. And I just have them all right here. And again, it is Velcro as I drop all of it. Hold on, pause. So if they say there's severe weather, they can talk about it. Like maybe they said, oh, there's a chance for tornadoes. And then they can, and this is included in the unit, and they match, all of the drills match all of the routines that are in the curriculum. So if you have the tornado drill, from the curriculum, it matches exactly, or the earthquake or the fire. So they can go over the safety routines because newscasters and meteorologists have to help the community prepare for the weather that's coming. So that's their job. So they can talk about what to do if there's a tornado and how they can practice their routine. They can even model it. And again, they can show that on there. And then also, if you have any of these like microphones that are like the karaoke ones, just take the batteries out. These are really fun for them to use as they give the weather report or whatever report. I want to show you guys the hail. So over here, so when there's severe weather, sometimes there's hail, right? So, in rain. So I want the students to pretend that there's hail, and hail comes in different sizes. And I live in Missouri, so we get hail. We actually had a really bad hailstorm a little bit ago. So maybe you have the severe weather is hail. My desk is a little full at the moment. So your severe weather is hail. It's hard to like show everything on the camera, so we're gonna do our best. Let me move that over. It's stuck. There we go. Oh, don't forget to add a keyboard so that way you can have, the students can pretend to type during the newscast. So we have severe weather, which means hail is coming. So make a bean ruler, which it's just a whole bunch of beans, 10 of them, taped together, and then you write the numbers on the outside. So that way they can measure the hail. So we have big hail, we have medium hail, we have all different size hail. Because when it hails, this is what the newscasters do, right? They get on there and say, oh, the hail was, as big as a baseball, and they compare it. So you can say, oh, the hail is 1 bean big, or, oh, these two are the same, and they can compare and contrast. Oh, this one is 2 big. Oh, this hail was 1, 2, 3 big. And again, we can use measurement, non-standard measurement to measure the hail, which is really fun. And they can also compare. So I have some of them have 2 of the same size. Some of them don't have 1 that are the same size. And again, I did that on purpose so students can compare the hail, find ones that match, find ones that are the same size, find some that are smaller, bigger, all of that great math vocabulary. Now, maybe it's not hailing. Maybe it is, we are having a lot of rain, and maybe it is flooding. So what better way than to know how much it is flooding than to measure the rain? So these are like little beakers I have. So we're going to pretend they're rain gauges. And then this is my rain. So they can measure how much rain has fallen in their rain gauge. So any type of like little beaker you have, you can pretend it's a rain gauge. And again, I just have some blue pom-poms for my rain. So again, super, super simple, really fun ways to talk about different types of weather, sneak in some weather measurement into their play. Like, can't you just hear them having these very elaborate stories about what the weather is and, oh my gosh, it's going to flood and let's measure how much rain has fallen so far and blah, blah, blah. Like, they're going to have really, really fun, awesome stories for us that they will share with us. Oh, and look, I even wore my like little weather earrings for you guys because I just love fun earrings. It makes my heart happy. So I know that that's a lot, right? There's so many things going on in this weather station. There's a lot. Again, so you don't want to like start it off having all of these things out. So you want to slowly introduce it. And if you're doing weather station, you're probably doing a weather theme. So it's also like kind of like the perfect time to talk about as you do read alouds for different things that has to do with the weather. Maybe you don't start with the severe weather chart out. Maybe you add that part later, or maybe you only have like the weather segment and the sports and the special guests. And then you add in the other ones later. And that's okay. Because you do what works for your classroom and your kiddos. You know what will be too much, what will be just enough for them. So yeah, and like I said, the news reports there's 5 of them. So here is one option. This has all the segments with lines at the bottom. Then this one has all the segments with little lines in each box. And this one just has this has 9 segments with the 2 lines at the bottom. And then this one has the 9. Just making sure I had the right one. And then this one is a little bit different. This one's probably more for kinder or first grade. To kind of, if you're wanting to get them writing a little bit more, there's the news segments, and then they can write their news stories out, a little sentence, and draw a picture. And if you teach pre-K or preschool and you want them to draw and scribble, then put these out. Put out the one that you think will work best for your kiddos. And also, these are great to keep for their portfolios if you need a writing sample. So there's levels for the weather report, and as well, I showed you the news report. Let me show you the weather report. So this one is a simple weather report. You have a temperature, what to wear. And then this one has a high and a low temperature, and then all of the forecasts, and they can draw it on the map. And then this one has high, low weather. They can draw it, and then they can also draw what to wear. And then this one is a little bit different. It has a 5-day forecast at the bottom, temperature, what to wear. And then this one has high, low temperatures, and then the 5-day forecast at the bottom. 7-day wouldn't really fit that well. So those are your different weather reports. Again, use the one you think will work best for your kiddos. Now, I know there's a lot of prepping for this one, not like a lot of prop making besides the news camera. And again, all of the little printables, it all comes with it, and there's directions on how to make it. All of that's included, but there is a lot to like kind of laminate and cut out because there's not a lot of props for this one. A lot of the props are the printables because they need to like, make the weather and do the chart and the traffic. So this is my trick. And I know a lot of us do this when we're cutting out things that aren't laminated. So I'm team laminate and then cut. I never laminate, cut. I just laminate and then cut. So laminate your pages and then staple them together so they are literally exactly in the same spot. Now, they're not going to laminate in the same spot, and that's okay. But these just happen to. You can tell it's a little bit off on this part, but that's okay. But just staple them together, and you can tell I've stapled it in different spots. And then what you can do is you can cut it out once. So like this was the traffic right here. So you just cut this out, and then you have 2 of them. I cut out all the cars in a line, and I got 2 of them because I cut it out once, and they're stapled together. And then I cut out 1 car. Here's the rest. Here's kind of what they look like when they come to you guys on the printables. And then so you can cut it out once, but you'll get 2 of them. So that's my little trick on, like, if you want the clothing ones too, print it, laminate, and then staple it. And you can always remove the staple. I actually didn't mean to staple that right there. I probably should have stapled it right there. But if you notice it's wiggling, like let's say you cut out this car and then it's kind of wiggling, staple it again in the parts you're not going to cut. And then you only have to cut it once. And then you get 2. So yay. So now I know you're like, that is a lot. Well, don't worry, because when you get the unit, what you get are all of the teacher direction pages. And what that means is, hold on, I'm trying to show you on my computer. So it's literally all the pages. I have everything typed out for you guys with direction pages. So there's directions. It tells you all of the different things that you need. Oh, hold on. I'm going the wrong way. Hold on. Pause. Pause 1 moment. Okay, there we go. I was skipping pages on you guys. So there's all the directions, tons of photos of it in action so you guys can know exactly what's happening. There's a planning web on all the things that your students are learning. Obviously, if you do all the pieces, there's also a blank planning page. So if you don't do all the pieces and you want to fill this out and you can send this home with families, there's a note to send home to families, roll charts. And also one thing about the roll charts and labels, I have 4 different roles. If that's too much for your kiddos and you just want reporter and meteorologist, if you think having a meteorologist, reporter, producer, and camera person is too many, then just dial it back and just have meteorologist and reporter. That's totally fine. Again, you know your kiddos, you know what works for them. But you get all of these things, labels, here's the signs, all the segments. Everything is included, all the different reports. There's the map, all the map pieces, all the good stuff. And if you see, there's also little directions when you print to kind of help you guys decipher and know, oh yeah, this is what this goes to. This is how I cut this out. Oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of remember all things. Or maybe you cut it out and you printed a whole bunch of things and you're like, where does this go? Like, what does this go to? So, and then for organization, it does come with labels, and I have been buying these banker boxes, and I'm gonna start keeping my dramatic plate in these banker boxes, and then the label that comes with the unit can go on the outside, and everything should fit right in there. So I hope you guys love this weather news station dramatic plate. It's really fun to do in the spring or maybe the summer, anytime you're talking about weather. And then also, it would be really fun to do this too. Maybe if there's a whole bunch of really fun things happening in your community that students can report about, that would be really fun too. And there's a ton more ideas about a weather theme on my blog or on my website. Blog, website, same thing. So click the link up there and it will take you over there. There's tons of videos. There are freebies. There's blog posts. There's things you can purchase, more printables. There's directed drawings, there's centers, there's science, all of the things. So I hope you guys enjoy all of that. And if you have any questions, let us know. If not, have a great day teaching, either today or tomorrow, or maybe it's the weekend and you guys have fun, enjoy your weekend, and then you can teach next week or maybe the summer. Who knows when? Because you can watch these videos whenever. And there's a bazillion videos on my website if you want to watch another video on another topic or another dramatic play theme. So I hope you guys have an amazing day or night. And don't forget to go grab this unit, and I will talk to you guys very soon.